So after my last video, I had quite a few messages about so if you don't have a vinyl cutter, how do you get designs and stuff dyed onto a head? And so I'm going to do a quick little star on this Thompson i6, or a red star right on the scoop. I'll show you how to take it from this to a red star on top. Let's get started. But what we're doing is we're laying down a lot of material here to make it easier to transfer to the vinyl. Give us a little guide to cut. Whatever, I can color inside too to give it a little extra. Graphite. I always want to say lead. Just like, I think kids still today say lead. As far as I know, pencils never had lead. I know people used to, well, that's what they used to have. It's always been graphite. Don't quote me on that, because it's probably just a fact I made up in my head. But I honestly think it's always been graphite.
For far too long, the pencil has been misunderstood. In the 1500s, a large deposit of graphite was discovered. It was great to write with. They could mark their sheep, they could write on walls, everything was cool. But they mistakenly called it lead. Whoops, they didn't know any better. They were old-timey idiots. They quickly discovered that it was in fact graphite and not lead. Now 500 years later, we still call this a lead pencil. We still call this lead. Grade school kids still think they're going to get lead poisoning if you stab them with it. That's just stupid. Pencils have never contained lead in the writing portion. It's always been graphite. Graphite mixed with clay nowadays, but still graphite and not lead. The yellow paint, however, at one time did contain lead. So your goofy friend Ralphie, who'd chew on his pencil in class, probably went a little cuckoo from lead poisoning. It's time we understood the pencil. It's great for writing with. It's great for doodling with. It's great for writing with. If all your friends, your classmates think you're a doofus, you can also do something like this. Break it in half. Ha ha ha! Because you're actually pretty awesome. The pencil. Love it, respect it, understand it. There's no lead.
Put your vinyl down. Put your drawing on top of it. Find the lines. Make sure you're centered. So now, just going to draw this out. And by pushing on this back side, theoretically I'm pushing graphite off the front of the paper onto the vinyl. Let's see what we got. Alright, you might not be able to see it too well. Oh yeah, you can see it. See, there's our star. Now I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. Really draw it on there good. And like I said, if you can find a 1-inch star in this case, or logo, whatever you're using to put on the scoop on the internet, and just print it out, then you can just trace it right over the drawing. You don't have to draw it like this. But this is pre-internet how it was done. Alright, so there is our star. The next step is to cut it out. Alright, so I've got my cutting board, cutting mat. This is the X-Acto knife that I like to use. So the way I'm going to do this dye is I'm going to have everywhere, I'm going to have a red star, and then everywhere else it's just going to be white. So I basically, from this piece, I just need to cut out the center of the star. That means I don't want to cut in this direction because I'll have cut lines going past. So I'm going to cut everything inward. Perfect. So next step. Actually, next step I have to clean this head. Alright, so now that it's cut out, we've got this. The next step is to stick it on here, and then I will show you how to mask everything but the, oh, is that too big? Wait a minute. No, I think it's alright. I'm going to trim this down a little bit, stick it on right in the center, and then I'll move on to masking everything else. Alright, so the next step after we've got this is to use electrical tape. A lot of people ask me where you get the adhesive vinyl, because you need a bigger piece to work with some of these bigger designs. You can get it at any craft store, online, but also if you're at the hardware store, you can get this, which is, I don't think it's technically electrical tape, but it's colored plastic tape. It'll do the same thing. It's vinyl, it's adhesive, and it's nice and wide. What is that, like 1.5 inches? You can cut out good designs out of that, so that's handy. So the next step is to now cover the rest of this scoop with this, and I'll do that now. Alright, here it is all taped up. Alright, yeah, the next step is to go over it with I use a heat gun. I used to use a hair dryer, which works also. Heat gun is just quicker. I can dial the heat in a little more. I can figure out exactly what temperature I want. And that will heat up the adhesive, make it gooey, and then you can press it down and really stick it in there to close off any gaps or seams or bubbles. And after I do that, I'm going to go over the seams with a hot glue gun. Alright, so the heat gun is done. I think I could safely dye it right now without bleed, but better safe than sorry. So this part's just kind of tedious and boring. So once this is dry and it's dyed, you just cut right here and peel, and the glue comes off in one piece attached to the tape. It's pretty nice. Alright, so I'm going to keep gluing this and I'll be back. Alright, so it's all glued up. Looks pretty messy. Next step is dyeing red, and I don't have any red dye, so I guess I have to get off my butt and go to the store. Next step is to dye it. We've got it all glued up, everything masked off, dye is ready. Doesn't have to be a lot of dye or very deep, just enough to cover the spot. I think it's done. It's nice red. Alright guys, so it's all done. I got the glue and tape peeled off. There was quite a bit of tape gunk on it. I just used some goof off just on a paper towel and just kind of slowly cleaned it. So that's pretty clean. One little tip I can give you, and I've made this mistake many times and I continue to make it, as I did today, is when you're dipping in dye and you get some on your hands, just be careful where you touch. I grabbed the throat and I had rinsed them, but I didn't really dry them, so there was still some residue. So the throat turned pink, so I had to, right here was pink, so I had to dye it up a little angle red, which is nice. I think it looks Looks pretty cool. But that's another thing, you know. Mistakes don't really happen when you're dyeing heads. You may not get exactly what you wanted. So what? You know, you change it up. Add red to the bottom. Now, I wanted it all white, but this is still cool. If I had messed this up or this bled all the way through, go all red. If your red comes out pink, go black. Whatever. I mean, at the very worst, you'll end up with an all black head, which is sweet. We all like all black heads, right? So there's no such thing as mistakes, and you know, you just roll with it, figure something out, and you end up with a pretty sweet head. Alright, thanks guys. Check me out on Instagram, Red Star Lax, Facebook. I don't do a lot on Facebook, but maybe if you guys start following me, I will. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video. All the other stuff. Later. And if that chick who sits next to you in Spanish class thinks you're an idiot, just do this. Don't do that. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. If you want to see more, click the video that's playing in the upper right of this screen. Click subscribe, click like. Go check me out on Instagram, Red Star Lax. And be excellent to each other.